So they'll be calling you a radical. So Biden's here in Utah, and thanks to a moron. So it was perfect opportunity for us as the downwinders, the atom bomb disease as victims of cancer via the military. It was a perfect opportunity for us, right? I have the atom bomb disease. My father, seventh generation Utah Marine, who lost his life. You know, I go back to East of Eden, of course. Good son, bad son. So Biden's son, not the bad son, the good son, died. That's all we hear all day, the military does. So, Bo Biden had been in Fallujah. Now this is important. He's going to talk burn pits, burn pits, burn pits. Now you remember leading up to the war in 2001, 2, I didn't have a YouTube camera. I was the guy, the activist. Well, still am. I was in D.C. saying, they're staging the troops in the Polygon. What's the Polygon? It's the Russian version of the Nevada test site. My father nuked to death in the Nevada test site. John Kennedy gives that infamous speech in 1963 about stopping the open air tests. My father air blast one human lab rat. And John Kennedy says, it's proven, we have the government data that their children will get it. My father came home, of course, made me, and then the children, the atomic veterans. We get cancer at an alarming rate. As you know, I got cancer in 2011. I have the atom bomb disease, fighting for my life. So, and I want people to understand, I do not believe in violence. You know, so I go back, I shook Bobby Kennedy's hand right there. The old promontory towers were right there, and Bobby Kennedy was here in 1968. March 29th, 1968. My uncle, who was a muck, Al Hunsaker, you know, I got invited. So I got to meet him. Wasn't long, he gave that incredible speech. Just a few days later, violence breeds violence. I don't believe in violence as an act. And you know, I'm an in the street act. I mean, I've seen some crazy radical protests. I've been in them. I invented the Million Mass March, you know. But people don't understand the difference between figurative speech and literal speech. I used to teach it at these universities when they were the #1 school business in the country. So this is, you know, just recording time because Biden's going to give a speech here just in a little bit talking about the burn pits. That a problem, you think? But it's more than the burn pits. The fact that they staged the troops in the Polygon, the fact that they used depleted uranium in weapons illegally against international law, the fact that they use white phosphorus. Look, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Where do you think we get that? Nuclear energy. So Biden was president of the United States when Fukushima happened, right? Yeah. Has he said the word Fukushima once? No. So what about Joe? Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so, Joe. Joe, what about the USS Reagan soldiers? What about them here in Utah? I'm seventh generation Utah. Talk about downwinders, and this is not opinion. You know, why doesn't he go up the East 8 LDS bone marrow transplant unit or the Huntsman Cancer Center? Oh, that's where he's at. He's at the VA. So I plan on going, which I've done so much work. People don't realize that when the San Onofre Marines, the Hollywood Marines, they get cancer, they send them here to Utah, to the VA. And the apprentices for the University of Utah, the young doctors, before they move into their muck world, they guinea pig them. My father, when I was a boy, when I grew up, when I was a kid after being nuked, would have these incredible seizures, whatever. He would spend literally months in that hospital. Sometimes I'd only get to see him maybe once a week. My mom would drive me down there. In that VA, I plan on protesting there today. It was a perfect opportunity. But some moron ruins all that. And look, before I do my activism, I always talk to authorities. Ask Sands himself, you know. I go have a conversation with him and ask him where I can go, where I can stage, what I can do. You know, where are we going to go, blah, blah, blah. What's your plans, Blanche? I'm going to set up right here and, you know, blah, blah. Is that cool? Yeah, you're cool. You're good. So I've gotten up close to Donald Trump. I got from here to there from Donald Trump, and I asked him, you going to talk about Fukushima when he's running for president? Yes. Did he? Did he? No, he met with a bee 19 times, 17 times. So, Biden's never mentioned it. So, in an online form, of course, because you can't get. Have you ever went to a rally? Good luck in these rallies trying to filter through. I got lucky with Trump. I backdoored over there when I saw where the media was staged, and I knew the media wanted to get a shot of me walking in. So I got, close enough to yell across. These politicians don't show up to forums. So in an online forum, Biden, we asked him, you going to open up the book on Fukushima? Of course, it wasn't him who responded, yes. Now, back to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris' mother was the epidemiologist at Livermore. Yes. Come on. Livermore, the nuclear lab? She died of cancer in 2009. She was paramount on the shutdown of Fukushima. On the shutdown of San Onofre. We had hearings. I used to work with Barbara Boxer's office. I used to work with Harry Reid. All these politicians know me personally. Again, I absolutely do not believe in. How is that threatening politics? By the way, presidents wield very little power, but they do have some. For instance, Obama, inside the situation. John Holden was in there. Gregory Jacko, head of the NRC. Oh, God, pitiful. They were all pitiful in there. Remember Haas Cartwright? Who's he? The Joint Chief of Staff going to be? The Marine? Yeah. He's the one that leaked that out about Obama in the New York Times. Remember he was going to go to prison? Obama, I'll put him under the prison, blah, 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 and then he pardoned him. Obama on the White House lawn, March 17th, 2011. Joe Biden's the Vice President of the United States. Joe Biden was there. Joe Biden was briefed on Fukushima many times. Joe Biden all over, let alone his own son passes of cancer, brain cancer, after being sprayed with white phosphorus, depleted uranium. What's that? It comes from a nuclear energy. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Hello. That's a sign. I got fairly close to Obama. Not really, though. They changed the routes. They changed everything. But now that this happened here in Utah, some lunatic moron. Oh, my God. You cannot threaten people. They don't know the difference in figurative speech and literal speech. And this is an old geezer. Oh, my God. It's pitiful. So it's ruined it. So I talked to him this morning down there. He says, nobody's getting within freaking a mile. I'm like, because I was hoping. I have lots of connections to that hospital, lots of them. I know all the doctors. I volunteered there for years, because of my father. And then, of course, that's really the sister hospital to LDS East 8. I lived there for 5 years. Not opinion. When I was in LDS East 8, the bone marrow transplant unit, the son of a special Rachel Carson on Balco on chemo. This is not opinion. I lived there for 5 years. When my social media addresses are showing up, that's my address, the East 8 bone marrow transplant cancer unit at LDS Hospital, Salt Lake City. I was there that long. I'm a 1%er of a 1%er. I was given a death sentence in 2011 with leukemia. Everybody in that half of that hospital, the southern Utah population makes such a small amount of our population. They're downwinders. We call it the red dust here in Utah. Everybody in Utah knows it's native down there. Half of that unit's from southern Utah, and they make up 5% of the freaking population of what serves that unit. Of course, Arco, Idaho, was 2. Johnny was in there. Paul was in there from Arco. They both died of leukemia. The half-life on this stuff is thousands of years for the most part. It's happening. So, what's going on?
Hey, sir.
Hey, sir, what?
Did you put that up?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you for a second, guys. Have you read some of the studies?
That's what I do. I'm a research PhD. I'm a professor.
Gotcha. Where?
Here.
You're at Weaver?
Yeah. I've been for decades.
Gotcha. I work in the sustainability office.
Oh, you do? Nice. What's your name?
My name's Michael.
Nice. Good for you. Nuclear's not the answer. There are no SMRs. So if you got that in your head on this little SMR nuclear reactor that we're funding, NuScale, you're dreaming. There aren't any. Did you know their approval license that NuScale got? They've already said it doesn't work, and we've been paying for it for 10 years. Now they've reapplied for a new license, for another one. They were supposed to be online by 2019. Now, what year is it? So there are no SMRs. Nuclear is, in fact, the dirtiest, filthiest freaking energy in the history of mankind, by far. Fukushima, Chernobyl, you can go on and on and on. What are you going to do with the waste? Do you know about, tell me about you work sustainability, tell me about the centrifuge process. Do you know about the centrifuge process?
I do not.
So how are you in the sustainability? You don't even know what a centrifuge process is.
I work in academics. I'm just a student.
Oh, you're learning.
Yes,
Good.
I work in getting the sustainability offices and.
Well, we do somewhat of a good job. We have solar on here.
Well, we do a phenomenal job compared to
Yes.
other universities in the state.
True.
What's your name?
Kevin Blanche.
Kevin Blanche. Cool. Good to meet you.
Yeah, so solar's the answer here. The sun shines over 300 days a year. It's an easy answer. Really easy. But we have a fee. So if you put solar panels on your house, you have to pay the fee up front.
Mm-hmm.
We have the exact bill that California has. California is producing 200% more solar a day than they can use. The whole place has gone solar because it's the economics of it. People have done it. But here we charge a fee, $16,000. So nobody does it because you'll never make up that fee. Get rid of that fee because they say it's unfair to natural gas and nuclear. By the way, do you know where we get all our energy here from in Utah, our electricity?
Mostly from the coal plant, right?
Natural gas. We don't have any coal plants anymore, very few, very tiny. And that's more southern Utah. We get the big fire plant in Salt Lake where you see the stacks right as you come in the airport. That's all natural gas. So it's a fossil fuel, but it's cleaner than coal. But that's where we get almost all of our electricity. That big electrical plant, the big one in Salt Lake, that giant plant, that's all natural gas. And that's the big one. That's where we get our electricity from Los Angeles. So solar panels, they work. And people say, well, you can't store. Yes, you can.
Do you have sources on here? I'm just wondering for anyone who could it's just dogma.
Let them think whatever they want. Do your own homework.
I mean, not everyone has the knowledge on how.
Well, that's why you're here to learn, right? You're at a university.
I am.
So get to work. You have the internet, get to work.
So you're not going to give any sources to help us?
My YouTube site, Kevin Blanche. There's tons of sources. There's sources all over the internet.
Great, all right. So
I'm in the middle of making a video. I don't have time to give you a freaking 5-year lesson.
Okay.
So have at.
Kevin, all right.
So anyway, yeah, so have at. So, dogma. Fools. That's the problem. These people are fools. And so they want to have a conversation with you, and they don't even know what they're talking about. I have no clue. I have no rhyme or reason. Just like him. Where do we get our electricity from? No, we don't. Nope. That's not where we get our... So people, they have something in their head, and they just stay with it. Dogma. So, and I don't have time to educate the ignorant. And this is important, too. The ignorant masses, who cares? Who cares what they think? They are what they are. That's what happened in Provo down there yesterday. It's total ignorance. That's not who's going to change the world. The masses aren't going to do nothing. 0.0. They're going to do nothing. Who's going to change? Where's your soup can? What did I do? Leave my cell? There it is. I got to go get it. So, the soup can. Where's your dry gas container? What about spent fuel? So, back to Beau Biden. Beau Biden died tragically. Good son, bad son, East of Eden, You ever read that book? So my friend who I grew up with, she and I were kind of a thing when we were young, 18. And she's, I was a little, I don't know. Her son was one of the first ones in Afghanistan, and she was just so heartbroken, at his death. And in fact, I think he was in Iraq. So she called me. She knew I was the peace activist, and we talked for a long time. I've talked to her. She's beating herself up. She says it was me my husband, we're the ones that indoctrinated him to send him. So, I says, here, I gave her a copy of East of Eden. I says, at least just read the last few pages. You know, remember Lee, the Chinese philosopher? Remember what he said? Tim shit. What's that? That's out of the. Is that out of the Old Testament or the New Testament? Thou mayest, right? What does that mean? What does that mean? Tim shit. That means men are responsible for their actions. So, but are they? When you're 18, that's why you're at university. You don't know at 18. Just like that, you don't know. Yeah, you're here to learn. So get to work and learn. You know, do your work, take your classes, get online, read, learn. Learn. This is a graduate program. I'm not here to teach. This is a graduate program. So, what is saying ain't so, Joe? What about Fukushima? It talks about the burn pits. What about why fossils? What about depleted uranium? What about the USS Reagan? That's what I'll tag this. What about the USS Reagan? What about the USS Reagan here in Utah? And anybody that tells you nuclear energy is clean is a bold-faced liar. What about the centrifuge process? What about the nuclear waste? What about Fukushima? What about Chernobyl? What about Mayak? What about the accident at Idaho National Lab? What about the 888 disaster in Russia on 2019? What about sent the radiation letter to Jennifer Graham home from China? This is just the ones we know about. It's the most expensive energy by far. Just think about the pork. What it costs to build one of these things. The car. Just look up the one in Georgia and just recently one. How long it took and how much money. How much does solar cost? I can't get this up. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so, Joe. So he's ruined it for us. So I plan on protesting down there at the VA, and I thought I'd be able to get closer and pull my signs up. But they're doing a big, wide circle, from what I understand. Credentials only. It'll be a small, teeny bit of media, and we know how the media. They are the problem. They're the problem, media. They're going to ask these scripted lobbyists, three branches of government, CIA, NSA, the puppet masters who control this. They're going to strip your questions. What about Fukushima? What about the ongoing disaster of Fukushima? What about the USS Reagan? What about the USS Reagan? What about that? They sent the USS. Make it so. What about those guys? What about those guys? All that work that we did, Supreme Court tosses it out. Of course they did. They always toss anything. Just like my dad. My mom never got a check. My mother got a dead husband. I got a dead father. Never got a medal. Never got a thank you. They never got nothing. Downwinders Utah never got any money. I mean, that's a fallacy. There's a few people handpicked, blah, 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 blah. That's a fairy tale. Remember when they were going to broaden that out under the Clinton administration and broaden it out to the children of the atomic veterans? And the government data. When I got cancer, it's like my doctor says right here. His father and brother, both Southern Utah, died of thyroid cancer young. My doctor right here saved my life. They've been studying you since the day you were born. He says, I know. I've been told that multiple times. When I got cancer and was in that unit, a government packet, Timo comes in and he says, "Here, look at this, what they want you to fill out." I was like, holy cow, everything questioned in there. Trying to, what exposure I've had, blah, blah, blah. And they knew, they know that I'm the son of an atomic veteran. All the data that was collected in the 50s and 60s, it's all there. John Kennedy talked about it. We know all the data's there, yet we deny it. I mean, we can't get any trial into the public domain. The California courts approved that case in the appellate court, goes forward. Did it? Did it? No, the United States Supreme Court shot it down. Well, the Ninth District. So, Biden's here, so he hasn't said the F word one time, has he? Obama, on the 17th of March, 2011. I never promised you a rose garden. Well, the experts are telling us that the plume is coming to us right now from Fukushima, but they say it's not harmful, and I will keep you abreast to know what I know. Dumb, Obama, dumber, dumbest, and now slide me by. I mean, the puppet show goes on. When their own family, Barack Obama's mother died very young of cancer, tragically. Kamala Harris's mother died of cancer. The epidemiologists that live more. You know, Bob Biden, I mean, all these people have cancer. I mean, right directly related to nuclearism. Yet they deny it because they're controlled by the puppet masters. And they're looking at polls and these things, and none of them really want to stand up for anyone. You know, the Polygon, they staged those troops. So Obama was flying to South America that day, to Argentina. It's a fact, Jack. He never mentioned it again until right before he left office, and he's on Jimmy Kimmel. You can look at it. He's on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's like, "Do you ever get calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, like Hillary said? Oh, please, hello, it's the president of the fucking United States." Yeah. Like when? Like when Fukushima happened. Jimmy Kimmel. What's Susanna? What's Fukushima? Barack Obama. You know the typhoon. God, is that even possible? Is that possible? The typhoon. Just a tsunami and earthquake that moved the axis of the earth. 9-point tick-tock Diablo Canyon clock on the Ring of Fire. That's all. Just the tsunami alone that day. And by the way, the cores had fractured. This is the University of Nuclear building. Utah Construction. Wasn't the parent. Utah Construction was the parent. You know, the uranium freaking mines, the tailings, the centrifuge process, sent on the state line to there. Now we're going to cripple Russia's economy, yet we don't sanction enriched uranium coming from Russia. That process is nasty. We don't use uranium natural from the earth 238 in a nuclear energy reactor. No. We use 238. And then the byproduct we use in weapons. The byproduct we call depleted uranium. What is depleted uranium? Uranium that's been used in a nuclear reactor that's lost some of its strength. And then we use MOX fuel, we fire, which is against the law in the United States. International law prevents all of this stuff. Yet we're using it. We're using cluster bombs in Ukraine, sending them to them, which is against international law. You know, this is the Biden administration. It's no different than the Trump administration. It's no different than the Obama administration. It's just an extension of Biden from the Fukushima cover-up trilogy. These are criminals as far as the cover-up goes. And like I said, I don't believe in violence. Bobby Kennedy right there. Violence just brings more violence. It doesn't work by that way. So, not going to be able to protest down there. They're not going to let us fucking near. I just got off the phone with them down there. You know, and they're like, because of this, I mean, what a lunatic. You cannot threaten people like that. I mean, figuratively, not literally. I mean, broadly, that's legal under the First Amendment. Oh, I forgot. We got rid of the First Amendment. What's the Patriot? So, go team. Fukushima. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm all about talking about cancer and supporting the veterans. What's the USS Reagan at Fukushima? Operation Friendship? What's that? What's the atomic veterans that were marched into the trenches in freaking Nevada and human laboratory and the children? I live here in Utah. I'm seventh generation. My father's family, no cancer, none. None of his brothers. He has three brothers, three sisters. In fact, Claude Glantz, a famous fighter pilot, historic figure, one of the most decorated soldiers in American history. My other uncle who raised me, Harold, Omaha Beach, D-Day, Battle of the Bulge guy. These are decorated, incredible men. None of them cancer. None of them cancer. The sisters, they're all still alive. The sisters, no cancer. No cancer. No cancer. He's the most healthy one of them. Died in the prime of his life. And his son gets it? You know? Joe Biden was exposed. Heavily exposed. They used white phosphorus on their own men. So, this is my protest. I got it done. And I don't believe in violence. I absolutely do not believe in violence. It's ridiculous. To threaten a politician is ridiculous. You know, we need to work at the grassroots level. You know, the American perception. We have the internet, get to work. You know, filter on through. You know, and we don't need the masses. That's the last thing we need. They're not going to change anything. You know, we need one or two people. Kevin Bland's the historical activist. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm the sustainability at Weber State University. What's the centrifuge process? I'm a politician. You know, I'm going to stand up for the cancer vets. What's the polygon? I used to scream and yell, don't go in there, don't go in there. Man, those guys, now they're all coming back. That's the Russian test site that they staged the troops at. And then white phosphorus depleted uranium on, they've been human lab ratting and guinea pigging their own freaking troops for decades and decades and decades and decades. You know, and so until we start using the word Fukushima, I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? Skiers who can't ski, surfers who can't skirt. You know, I'm on TV. I'm going to talk nuclearism. You know, Oppenheimer and crew. Don't say the F word. The ultimate litmus test. One word. Long video. Short video. Interrupted. Sun got my eyes, coach. When I had cancer, in the acute way, I had open heart surgery again this year. I've had twice. I mean, I've been struggling my whole life fighting because my dad was a human lab rat at the Marine and never had a test say. Come on, say it ain't so, Joe. Come on, Joe, break the moratorium on Fukushima. Come on, Kamala, just say the F word. Say it. Just say the F word. That's all. Just say the F word. That's all. Just say the F word. Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. Just say the F word. This sign's been around, huh? God, it's been all over. When Obama came here, I used this sign to protest. Oh, it's had it, hasn't it? Say it. Say the F word, Joe. Come on, do it. I know you can do it. Just say the word Fukushima. Just say it. Stand.